The Eisenhower Fellowship alumni hosted a gathering of fellows and nomination committee members on the 3rd of December 2011 at the LEJ Institute within the University of Karachi. The day was dedicated to interviewing and shortlisting candidates for the upcoming South Asia Regional Programme, along with a discussion on the role the fellowship needed to play in order to stabilise Pakistan through its turbulent geopolitical crisis. Chaired by the Honorable Professor Dr. Ataur Rahman, the nomination committee members consisted of the President of the American Business Council, Mr. Humayun Bashir, Sarah Alam from the US Embassy, Dr. Abdul Bari Khan, Shahid Mahmood, Dr. Razina Mistry, and Dr. Erfa Iqbal.
It's been my pleasure to have chaired the meeting today of the Eisenhower Fellowship Committee, in which we interviewed 9 candidates and had detailed discussions with them about their interests. And I'm extremely impressed by this fellowship scheme because it has several spin-offs. Firstly, we are selecting people from Pakistan who will go to the United States and have contacts in academia, in industry, in the private sector, who will meet people in top think tanks, in universities, and have the opportunity of exchanging ideas and learning. And this learning experience that they gain during these 7 weeks or so that it is that they are there, then helps them enormously when they come back. Helps them in their personality development, helps them through the linkages that they establish with people in the USA, through the knowledge that they gain during the 7 weeks that they are there. And so I think this is a wonderful scheme which is benefiting and will continue to benefit many of the brightest young people in Pakistan. It complements other schemes such as the Fulbright scheme, which is a master's and PhD program, which was initiated or magnified during my time when I was the chairman of HEC. But this scheme is a very focused initiative to help select the best people. And I greatly enjoyed interviewing people from a wide range of backgrounds, ranging from the government to persons in the film industry, and of course also in professions in information technology and other areas. It's been a learning experience for me as well, and I enjoyed interacting with them.
It's a great experience to meet, first of all, the fellows who come from diverse backgrounds. That there's a lot of learning in there. And then to meet the candidates from such a rich and again a very diverse background, from different cities, from different backgrounds. So it is a program, it is a great program. I wasn't too much aware of that. I think it is not propagated as well, maybe perhaps not as well in the corporate sector, which is the American Business Council and the Overseas Chamber, the 220 companies of multinational companies. So this is not really on the table, on the radar there. So I think some propagation should be done, and I of course will now act as an ambassador to carry this message forward.
So how has the fellowship helped some of the alumni?
I went with a question related to the dilemma that I was facing, and that was sustainability versus accessibility in healthcare system. An Eisenhower Fellowship program allowed me to design my program according to my research question. And based on that, I would say that today I've been able to develop and explore various models of accessibility, including micro health insurance program in the north, which I would give credit to some extent to what I saw when I was in Eisenhower program. Another thing at the personal level that has affected me after Eisenhower program was the fact that previously I used to really feel worried whenever I had to travel. But after this program, that was one thing that I was never afraid of. I was always able to carry a small bag with me and travel to the farthest area of Pakistan with very much ease. So at various levels it has helped me, alongside the fact that now I have a network of fellows who are also Eisenhower fellows. Like with Marina Khan, we were able to come up with a joint production of a video on hepatitis B awareness, which was used far and wide across the country and was highly appreciated. Again, it would not have been possible if Marina Khan was not there for me. So yeah, there are many levels at which this program has been.
My basic theme during my fellowship was to build up people-to-people linkages between Pakistan and US, and in this context I obviously visited 10 to 12 states, and I was invited as a guest speaker at a number of occasions by the Pakistani community as well as by World Affairs Council, and met with a number of international organizations, and I was invited as a guest speaker at roundtable discussion National Bureau for Asian Research in Seattle, and this was actually not being arranged by Eisenhower Fellowships, but I was picked up because I was a fellow. After working there for like 2 months, and then I extended my stay for a few more days to consolidate basically the job that I did during this fellowship visit. I then came back to Pakistan, and government of Pakistan, in response to basically what I did in the US, Prime Minister, I gave a report to the Prime Minister, and he then posted me at Trade Development Authority of Pakistan to make up a project for Pak-US linkages, building up on whatever I did during this fellowship. As a follow-up of that, from state of Missouri, 3 visits of their companies have been already taking place, and they've come to Pakistan. They're in the process of signing up agreements, project agreements with Ministry of Commerce, TDAP, Ministry of Industries and Ministry of Railways. So this is one, I think, big networking that I've been able to do, and we are going to follow it up in future as well.
Frankly speaking, before I went to the fellowship, I thought I knew everything about my own profession, and it made me feel very good. But when I went to the multinational program in 2001, and the colleagues I had from other nations, and they came from diversified backgrounds, and that was the first realization that I had, that if we were to look at bigger things and have bigger visions, we needed to understand the complete environment, and we needed to understand somewhat the backgrounds of other professions. And that actually was a very profound change in how I looked at my career and my life and how I was going to lead my life. I came back and I went in 2002 and did another master's at the National Defense University, where I came to know about Pakistan, and the whole program was on strategic understanding of how Pakistan should position itself and what it is. Later, while we were selecting the South Asian program fellows, I came across Dr. Bari, who was a die-hard person working in the field of medicine, being a great cardiologist, but yet working on a welfare basis for communities and doing work in the medical world, which encouraged me to sort of look at his work, and I saw that there was a vacuum in his area of working where technology could be of great assistance. And since 2003, I've joined hands with him, and I sort of gradually moved from my original forte, which was telecoms and IT, into telecoms and IT, but very, very focused in the health environment, though we do it on a welfare basis also for Indus and the operations that he's running in other places. We've also sort of further developed it for commercial purposes because of the size and the magnitude the field has. So it opened new venues and new doors. During my stay on the International Alumni Council, Advisory Council, I also came across a lot of senior fellows and saw thinking on so many fields, which has encouraged me to keep going on, and with each passing year it has contributed to my broadening of my vision, and that's what the fellowship has done. And I feel that it's an ongoing process, and once you're a fellow, you're always a fellow, and that's what keeps me motivated and going.
It had a lot of impact on me because I was a shy person and could not communicate it with other people, but that changed me a lot, and I could be connected to different type of people. And while I was going for I had a mission of establishing a hospital. It had a great impact on that because I came across a lot of people in US, and that worked very well. And alhamdulillah, now I'm running a very established hospital, and it is growing further.
This fellowship gave me a chance. For instance, our officers go there as on regular postings. They are there. The commercial counselors are there. But this was a unique and different type of experience that I had, because I met up with so many organizations with a different perspective and visited like the whole of United States, from East Coast to West Coast and Midwest and Seattle. So meeting up with all these different people, not with a government type of an approach, but as a fellow, it broadened my horizon, and I could actually utilize my knowledge as a government servant and as a fellow, and being educated previously in US as well, I could actually interlink all these experiences and knowledge, and that has resulted really well.
For senior professionals across Pakistan who are looking to apply for the Eisenhower Fellowship's many programs, what should they keep in mind before applying?
The key takeaway is that when you're selected as a mid-career in your early 30s or 40s, when you're selected as a fellow, you will go through the similar experiences that I have. You may know a lot about your field, but once you start interacting with over 2,000 fellows across the world who come from diversified backgrounds, you will start looking at your career as well as how you position yourself vis-a-vis the macro scenario globally, and it's a great feeling to have that you are in a group of people who really matter and are doing things across the globe, and that makes you more confident, makes you contribute more towards your own society and your own country, but also gets you to elevate yourself from the region to internationally wanting to do things.
Just one last question, very briefly. What can the Eisenhower Fellowship's alumni do for Pakistan?
The current situation vis-a-vis the relationships, I think once people see that we can intellectually contribute, we're not politically driven, but we are driven on a human basis, and those things are represented and presented correctly, will build bridges and take away those differences. No Pakistani or no US citizen has anything against. I believe that we're all great people, all of us wanting to do good things, and everybody wants to see a peaceful society. It's just those bridges that have to be, and we have to keep it as that, as a parallel, not get politically sort of influenced or influenced through media which is trying to pull a political line, but do it on a human basis, and that in itself will always broaden and strengthen relationships. And I think that was what the fellowship was all about in the first place.
Whatever program they have, they should make maximum utilization of it, and they should go with a clear mind that when they come back, they should apply into the community so that whatever they have gained in their fellowship should be reflected into the community. It's not just we are going for a ride and for a just tour out of the US, but it has to have an impact on their own life and above all onto the community.
Much of the Eisenhower Fellowship experience has been about representing our individual countries and cultures and strengthening relationships between communities. How have some of Pakistan's fellows helped to change mindsets?
My most memorable experience or the memory of Eisenhower program was when I actually went to Grand Canyon, and where I had to share a room with one of my fellows, Paromita Goswami, who was from India. And before actually staying together in one room for 2 days or 3 days that we were able to spend together, I had a very different view of people from India. But when we stayed together, I realized that there was so much common between us. And I think that after that day, I have met many friends from India, and that barrier is no longer there in communication.
My first, not meeting, but the reception, which was hosted by World Affairs Council in St. Louis, during this visit, and so many people, because most of the people in that reception were Americans. Unlike my other receptions, which were mostly or mainly attended by Pakistani community. So these people, they came up and they said, wow, we actually didn't know that women from Pakistan can also speak up and they are also educated, and you know, comments like this. And then I also met with General Duncan McNabb. He gave me a souvenir medallion, and he also appreciated the work that we are doing in Pakistan. So I was actually able to, and also during NBR roundtable discussion. So during all these occasions, actually, I was able to contribute to project Softer Image of Pakistan at so many different forums. And the forums where I only addressed Pakistani community, again, I had something to contribute, because they said, oh, they didn't know about so much development work going on in Pakistan, because they only keep on receiving negative news about Pakistan. And during my visit, actually, all these activities were also covered by media there. And you know, these media coverings are also, coverage is available on net, and all my visit reports are also available on net. So media was also speaking about this, and this is all like projecting a softer image of the country.
The basic theme of how we can change the community, how we can work, that should be in our mind. And we can do a lot. We are doing it on an individual basis, but now with the fellowship, we are being networked. And it is causing good impact on the community, and we can do a lot, but the strategy has to be different according to our situation and our political situation. We have to do it.
I think this alumni is probably a small group, but it's much bigger than it used to be. It's probably 28 people now. As this group grows, this group is very influential, very connected. Obviously, this group was formed as part of the future potential leaders, and today this group is in leadership positions. So they have the connections within the government here, and they would have established or renewed their connections with the countries they visited, and with other alumni in the region. And particularly this one, as I understand, is taking place on a South Asia level. So India, Sri Lanka, Pakistan participants. I think it would be a great forum to bring the countries closer. Particularly, I'm a great believer in India-Pakistan relationship, trade, and have been part of various initiatives for trade with India. So I think it's a great program.
Well, I think the fellows who come back first of all, should contribute to the development of our society through the lessons that they've learnt abroad. They should, in their own areas of specialization, they should help identify the key problems that exist in our society and address them in their own manner. They can also network with one another and have cooperative programs of along with other fellows, not only in Pakistan but also across the world, because surely there must be hundreds if not thousands of fellows worldwide, and within each field you'll find several dozen top professionals who have been Eisenhower fellows. Through this networking they can contribute in enormous ways, and some of the areas that we discussed earlier on were in, for instance, academia. There could be contributions they could give lectures in their own fields which could be of benefit to students at the undergraduate or postgraduate levels. In businesses, they could bring their knowledge through interaction with the relevant businesses and through providing guidance in key areas. For instance, one of the programs that we discussed was how can the fellowship scheme help to improve the present document that Pakistan prepared on transitioning from an agricultural economy to a knowledge-based economy. So what can Pakistan do in the field of, say, information technology or in biotechnology or in new materials or in engineering goods and other such sectors? So the roadmap for Pakistan. And this then links up with the whole process of socio-economic development, with the process of poverty alleviation, and ultimately can have profound bearings on the progress that Pakistan makes. So there can be so many ways that the fellowship scheme can benefit the Pakistan community and our nation.
For more details about the Eisenhower Fellowships, please log on to efworld.org. If you'd like details about the alumni fellows and opportunities to interact with local fellows within Pakistan, please log on to efpakistan.com.